Welcome back to hour 2 of our NIL workshop here. Again, I'm Pat Curran. This hour, we've got Mick Hamilton from Icon Source, and we'll get into Mick here a little bit, but I think it's important when we talk about NIL is talk about the scope of what's going on, what's out there, what are resources, how can you help make money, build biz, start relationships. And one of the places we worked with, again, this isn't a sales pitch for Icon Source, as we talked to Mick, and I said at the first hour, like, that's not exactly what this is, but they are a great resource. We've worked with other ones. We've worked with Open Doors. We've worked with other ones that have helped our athletes make money, but Icon Source has been one that has consistently been good for us. So that's why when I reached out to Mick, I specifically reached out to Mick because I was like, one, I like him. I think he's got a good vibe and good info. But I think it's a great resource for athletes, not just college athletes, but college and pro athletes to be able to do deals. So Mick, without further ado, I'll let you kind of intro yourself and Icon Source in general.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate it. Another Ohio guy on here, so it's always great. But yeah, so Mick Hamilton, I'm from Cincinnati, Ohio, currently living in Atlanta. Prior to Icon Source, just really lucky. I was a rugby player in high school, and my coach left during the season to be a part of the Cincinnati Bearcats, Luke Fickell's first year. So I got brought in basically to get the Gatorades for everybody and whatnot, and kind of showed my value to those coaches, where it was Luke Fickell's first year as a head coach. It was Marcus Freeman's first year as a true standoff defensive coordinator. And throughout the years, we got to build Cincinnati from 4-8 our first year to being in the playoff and going against Alabama, which to a group of 5-4 now was huge, obviously. So got to do recruiting. Eventually, Coach Freeman asked us to start doing recruiting when I was the GAs, and I was an intern for them, and broke a few school records, group of 5 records. And unfortunately, with the Big 12, those guys now are about to smash our records because it's way easier recruiting a kid to the Big 12 than the American Conference. But yeah, got in touch after Coach Freeman went to Notre Dame, and with Drew Butler, who's our vice president, head of collegiate, played in the NFL for 6 years, and this 2-time All-American at Georgia. And ironically, it's my last time at Cincinnati. We lost to them here in Atlanta to Georgia on that 53-yard field goal. But got introduced to Icon Source. I loved it. Ironically, I started working on branding the city of Cincinnati to our recruits, and Chad Bowden, who's now the director of recruiting at Notre Dame, felt like this was coming, not a year or two like everybody thought. He thought it was in the summer, which he was right. July 1st happened, and we got to do the first ever deal in NCAA history with the Cavender twins, big TikTok following of Boost Mobile in Times Square. And I actually made a call to my buddies who own a Black-owned business 2 days prior to July 1st and said, do you guys want to do an HBCU deal? Let's make some history here. And they said, let's do it. So we actually had Antoine Owens, who was on Jackson State as a senior. He was at Georgia Tech, transferred in. He flew up with his family and his girlfriend, and it was a really cool activation. But it's been a lot of fun. You learn a lot, especially in this NIL industry, something new every single day. And it's been a lot of fun, starting with 0 college athletes to now over 6,000. So it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah. And obviously our behind the scenes stuff that we see is different than behind the scenes stuff that you see, and there's some crossover to it as well.
Yes.
But I think it's important to show like there's much more than what you're seeing publicly that goes on.
Absolutely.
And let's talk about the Cavender twins thing, because that was day. I mean, I don't know, they were there like on a flight.
It was 12:01 a.m. Yeah.
Right. It was.
Funny story, actually. We had all these news ready to drop the article, TV crews, and their flight ended up there was a storm coming over New York City at 11 p.m. Or it was like 10 p.m. So they end up flying into some random airstrip. I think they were flying private, and actually drove from Pennsylvania to New York City 12:01 a.m. They did it in the car, actually. They were still an hour out. And it was just wild because, everybody else was planning it. So we're like, this is about to go bad, but ended up turning right.
Yeah, it's funny. And so the Cavender twins were at Fresno State last year. Now they're at Miami.
Yep.
They're twins. They've got a big TikTok following. I think they're like 4 million now.
Yeah.
Something like that. I just saw a video actually this morning as I was scrolling through my TikTok. They're all over it, and I think they do a great job of brand building. They are not I don't know if they are talented enough to be like first round WNBA draft picks or not, but that does not matter. They're absolutely killing it, right? They're the types that is what we talk about all the time. Is like this social following in the business. Like they don't need basketball. Like
No,
they
they
just,
have their own hustle. That's for
yeah,
sure.
yeah. And so that first deal was with Boost Mobile. And I remember seeing them because I followed them for a minute. I had a little convo. I was trying to get in the game with them a little bit. We did not, obviously. But so I'd seen them doing that, and I was like, it was that day where it was like just chaos, right? July
Yes.
1st of last year. For us, I think I had 13 calls in like 7 hours, like back to back to back, trying to
Bam.
win.
Yep.
And obviously stuff like that with the Cavender twins and different athletes across the country was where it really like exploded. Like, all right, this is day one. Now a lot of bad shit happened that day too, or not small
Yes.
shit, right? And then obviously good stuff like this. But what have you seen the difference between July 1st, July 15th, or even the month of July last year versus what we're seeing now biz wise? Obviously, what's coming in your way, but what are you seeing athletes doing that you think is good and better?
Yeah, I think in the beginning, athletes are very wary. I don't even know what NIL is. I don't know what the laws are. Some schools didn't even have policies yet, and they're just telling their athletes don't do NIL yet, even on July 1st. So a lot of them are wary. The businesses are just as wary. Drew and I actually talk about it a lot. We've got our sales team's got to go to a lot of conventions, meeting brands, and it's funny because I think all of us, especially on this call, have our own little, we're in an NIL world, right? And you'd be surprised how many companies actually don't know about it yet. Some are like, wait, we don't have to use this TikTok girl, influencer girl on Instagram. I can use college athletes now. What,
Yeah,
since when? And well, last year. So they're starting to learn more. Laws are getting a little bit better. You see some brands are doing more deals. So other brands are like, okay, let's try to one up that, and whatnot. So you
yeah,
see a lot more kids getting savvy. You see them. The issue was responding at first. A lot of kids are just like, I don't know what to do. I don't want to get in trouble or whatnot. So now
yeah.
you're seeing kids not as hesitant to do a deal. They're excited. They think more than just signing a contract and collecting $20 like a lot of kids did on July 1st.
Yeah.
So that's been a great thing. And I think just throughout the years we see, it's going to get better and better and better. Businesses will have better ideas, even local, regional, even a career possibility of being able to kind of get in touch with these businesses, and business ideas starting to say, hey, maybe we can use this as a staffing kind of thing. We get in, build a relationship, and who doesn't want to hire an athlete once they're done with their sport? So it's been a lot of fun to sit back and watch the trends go through.
There's, I mean, just to note on that, like there's been conversations I've had with athletes that I'm pretty confident we're not going to work with, but I'm like, I feel like they kind of understand this. Maybe someone we would want to like have on our staff at some point in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we have a deal with Lockheed Martin. So it's always interesting because everybody says, why does a U.S. Defense contractor want to do NIL deals? It makes no sense. They sell jets and things for the military, and they're having issue, ironically, of getting interns and college just students to apply and have interest in working for this massive company. So what they decided to do is, hey, let's go to the college athletes. It doesn't have to be the star players. Let's go to the ones who are engineering athletes, cross country, rowing, football players, whoever, and let's have them post about Lockheed Martin, talk to their class, talk to their peers who are maybe not playing sports, but now once Lockheed Martin might be at that, job convention on campus, it'll click in their head and say, hey, I think I remember, so-and-so posting about that and whatnot. Let's go check it out and see if it's as scary as we thought it was. So it's a big trend we're starting to see.
Yeah, like we did WWE with two of our athletes,
Yes.
and WWE is specifically that is a recruitment tool. Like they want to get you in the ecosystem, get you a part of what they're doing, get you out an event, wow you, hopefully have you try out, and either you, if they've got interest in you, then have you be a part of the WWE universe in some capacity, right? It's exactly what you said they're doing is like getting people in the ecosystem. Yes, they're paying them to be a part of it. Yes, they're paying them to promote. But at the end of the day, it's a recruiting tool is what they're trying to create there.
Absolutely. Yeah. And, college athletes are smart. They work their tail off. And, unfortunately, a lot of them, and, you've got to be a college athlete, and I've got to be around it where there is no time to do an internship. If you
No.
go to coach and say, hey, I got, I have my shift right now,
Yeah.
that's not how that works in college athletics. So
No.
it allows them to at least have an opportunity. You can do an NIL deal. Shuck and Shack is their East Coast Sea Oyster franchise. They
Yeah.
decided to do not the football star player. They decided to do the female soccer, cross country, track, even hockey, maybe the lesser represented sports. And they came back to us and said, we want to hire some of these athletes
Mhm.
because they've started giving us ideas and everything. Thought this is their CMO talking, running all the franchises. They've
Yeah.
given me ideas I never even thought of, and just
Sure.
it's been a big benefit to them, and it made us think like, okay, this is an interesting, different pivot of NIL that maybe no one's thought of yet.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's like, for us, and what I'm always talking about is you ain't going to the league. You're not going to the association. Like, you're not, holistically speaking, you're not playing professional sports, right? Now, there are some people that will, right? But
yeah, of course,
if you're in the NBA, there's 64 people that get drafted. The WNBA, it doesn't matter if you get drafted. You have no guarantees anywhere. The NFL,
never.
300 guys, right? Other sports I'm not as familiar with, but like the money is, it's just not realistic to say I'm going to the league. But if you can use NIL to build stuff around what you actually want to do, that's what it should be, right? And whether it's like making that 500 or 1,000 or even 10,000 or 25,000 deal, like those are cool. But what can you
Absolutely.
continue to build from? You're young, so I don't know if you've had any shit jobs, but like how old are you?
I just turned 25, so we're here
Okay.
this month. Yes.
Okay, nice. Well, happy belated birthday, right?
Thank you. Thank you.
So, but how many people do you know at 25 that are college graduates and hate what they're doing?
A lot. Majority of my friends.
Right? Isn't that crazy? That's not what it should be, right?
No. Feel blessed.
Yeah. So if you, as a college athlete right now, you have all these resources, you have all this opportunity, you have all these eyeballs, no matter where you are, what you're doing, but like it's elevated than a regular student. So if you can actually start to build stuff around something you're passionate about, you're not going to be at a miserable job at 25. Like it's like there is, yes, of course, NIL is about money, right? That's what we're talking about, using your name, image, and likeness. But like there's always what I'm saying is like, yo, can you understand this big opportunity around it? If you can, then you can really do some cool shit with it.
No, absolutely. I mean, just being an athlete, you already have that cred to your name. I mean, you already have that respect without even saying a word, walking in and meeting somebody. So of course you make your money, right? And that's the beauty of NIL. It's why everybody loves it, but
yeah,
try to leverage it in another way. Go and, talk to the CEO and just maybe have a coffee with them or a virtual coffee and get to know them. And, even if you don't get an NIL deal, so I think there's all those opportunities where college athletes some have gotten pretty savvy with it and have said, okay, this is a good in. But think about that network. What I tell a lot of people is like, we're saying majority aren't going to go play in the professional league, right? And if you do, what are the odds you play more than a year or 3 years or whatnot, right? So having that network now where, right now in your 4 or 5 years, 3 years, you're going to be that person on campus. You have that respect. But once that's over and you are working in a cubicle, it's not what it used to be in a sense. So you kind of have a power, right now, and use it, take advantage of it.
Yeah. Yeah. When you're gone, you're just a person with maybe a piece of paper.
You're another one of us, sitting in an office and, getting to work.
Even those alum are they're less jumping over hurdles to help you. They might, but like, when you're a college athlete, when you're a college student period, people will help you. When you're a college athlete and you've got an elevated platform, you're, like you mentioned, you're known, you're a face of campus.
Yep.
Right. You can get so many other things that you wouldn't be able to get. So yes, deals. Yes. All these other things though, too.
No, absolutely. Yeah. No, I think we nailed it on the head. The kids will get more savvy here soon, I think, especially once graduation knocks. They got to watch, I think a lot of NIL too is kids watching their other teammates, right? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
So I think once they start seeing that, they can add on to it. I mean, it's just innovation. And I think the student athletes, more than the NIL educational companies, or, maybe the people, the compliance officers, whatnot, I think that just the savviness, the innovative sense of our generation being on social media, we're the ones who created the trends. I remember the Harlem Shake in high school. I don't know if you guys all remember that, but I think they're going to get more savvy, more innovative. Like, okay, let's see how we can use this. Why not? So it's gonna be fun.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. And like you said, more people are doing it and being smarter around it, I should say. We'd like to see more and more people jump on that trend.
Yes.
But
Yes.
talk to us about like marketplaces in general. Like what does Icon Source provide? How does it help me as an athlete? Why do I need to be on it? And I say Icon Source, right? But marketplaces in general, there's similarities to the different ones we have our athletes on.
Yeah, no. And when I talk to student athletes, I don't tell them, hey, just get a sign up on Icon Source. I actually tell everybody, go and do your research on all the marketplaces around. I know, like a NoCat, Mogul, Dreamfield, Market Price, why don't you go and sign up on those platforms? Because right now what we've seen is that businesses, the industry in general is extremely fragmented, right? There's so many providers to businesses. Now, the biggest issue is that they have these businesses on their platforms. And if you're not on their platform, you won't have a shot. For example, Sprouts Farmers Market, 2 weeks ago, we got to have Dominique, one of your clients, do the deal, and 50 other female athletes. And if those athletes were on Icon Source, we got a few on, but if an athlete in the Pac-12 or Big 12 who met that criteria, female athletes, just didn't take 10 minutes out of their day and sign up on Icon Source, they wouldn't have gotten that deal. So I say the same thing if, I'm not sure what the other marketplaces brands they work with or whatnot, but especially if you don't, have a marketing representation or you're kind of doing this on your own, like that's a perfect place to do it. And I always just say too, be careful. I don't know if there's marketplaces out there, but I've heard there is exclusivities that people have found in it. Just be very careful. That's a red flag. I think everybody in this industry is trying to figure it out right now. So just be careful on that kind of stuff. You don't want to cut yourself out of other things just for a marketplace that might bring you 1 or 2 deals at the end of the day. So, but what we do at Icon Sources is we started 4 years on the pro side, obviously. So we have over 500 agents that use our platform, specifically on the pro. And when July 1st happened, what we did was we just duplicated the platform. So you have the pro and you have the college. So we actually have 1,700 brands who have used our platform within the past 4 years. So now they have an opportunity to, all right, well, we're looking at working with these athletes, but now we can work with college athletes. So it kind of ties in 2 and 2. And if you create an account, you make it kind of like a social media page in a sense, right? A Facebook, a profile picture, a good bio. Special interests is extremely key. So if you like cooking, if you like fashion, shoes, crypto, tech, whatever, you can put that in there and these companies can do a keyword search because at the end of the day, I think the narrative was, and this is why I actually wanted to do the HBCU deal, was the Power 5 football and basketball players going to make all the money. And it's not necessarily true because most brands we work with aren't looking for the starting quarterback of Oklahoma. They're looking for maybe an athlete with 10,000 followers or maybe an athlete with 1,500 followers whose hometown's in this location. On Icon Source, you tag your handles in there. So actually the company can see your analytics of the followers, their interests, what they like, even the personal income. It's kind of crazy when you check those boxes on these social media apps, all the data that they pull from you. But you can do that and the brands will be able to directly message you. You can go back and forth in there. You actually will have a contract. So every deal done through Icon Source, we have templated contracts that we vetted through some of the top agencies in the country to just make it easy, more for the pro side. So it didn't keep going up legal ladders and taking forever. So as well as that is 1099s and taxes. So the taxes are taken care of. Your first deal ever, you have to put in your banking info as well as your taxing info. So if you do 500 deals on Icon Source at the end of the year, you'll have a 1-pager and it'll have all those for you. So that's what we do. We do deals. And I think just being on a marketplace, it'll give you more exposure. It'll give you more opportunity. You don't have to take everything, but just think about it. Respond. I think that's the biggest thing. We have something called negotiable on our platform. So some brands can send you, hey, Pat, would you love you to make a post for us for $600? Maybe Pat, you have 100,000 followers on Instagram. That makes no sense, right? So, but these businesses have no idea because the market's still trying to figure out where these numbers are so they can make it negotiable. And I've watched athletes just leave a lot of money, because I know how much the budget the brand has, on the table because they just didn't respond, or maybe a little bit of, being rude in a sense. And it's funny, we always talk about it, but female athletes, the top 3 most winners on our platform are female athletes. They have just killed it. And as guys, I get it, because we're maybe not as detail oriented, some of us. But these girls, it's funny, you see the conversations. The guys have maybe a few grammar errors, some issues in it. The girls will send 3 paragraphs long, 500 words, how much they like the brand, what it means to them, what they like about this part, their friends. It's pretty funny for me, and especially Drew, to read some of those stuff. We're like, gosh, we need to get better as a species, as a male species over here. But no, I think, like I said, getting on these marketplaces, it doesn't matter if it's Icon Source, could be any of them. I'm biased because I obviously direct recruiter here at Icon Source, but it's just beneficial. Get on there, put yourself out there. One last little story. We had a deal for a Rutgers swimmer, and we have a company called Milner. So they actually the first 4 female athletes in Florida on July 1st, which was awesome. His son, the CEO's son, tragically passed away in a drowning accident. So what he does is that he wants to run campaigns up through the East Coast at YMCAs with Milner Technologies to pay these swimmers to basically go and teach underserved communities on anti-drowning things, how to swim, things like that. $10,000 for a few hours, a lot of PR, a lot of press, media touch, and the athlete who first got the offer read it, saw the message, never responded. And it was wild. And her teammate took it within a second. She's like, "Oh, I'm in." There's not like those exclusivity. It was just, it meant a lot to the CEO and the owner, and he wanted to pay these athletes well, because he knows, especially female swimmers at universities, maybe don't have full scholarships. They still have to pay out of pocket. So he wanted to do that and help out. And it's just funny, you never know who you're talking to. That's what I've learned, especially out of college and being, a grown up or whatnot. You never know. It could be a guy walking in a bar who is dressed in, Air Jordan shorts and a raggedy t-shirt, and he could be worth $50 million. You'd have no idea. So give everybody time of day. You don't have to sign anything, but just networking is huge in this, and marketplaces will help.
Yeah. And, like I said, we work with 30 athletes. We have conversations with companies outside of Icon Source, within Icon Source, but it's another great resource, right? So we've had our athletes make thousands of dollars from clicking buttons or using the negotiable tool too. And just, yes, right. As simple as that. And it's, like you said, it's, if you're not on these, you're making a mistake. Like this is a resource. And I would say this too, like when July 1st opened up, we were like, well, what do we do? Do we get our athletes? Do we tell our athletes to get on here? What do we like help them with this stuff? Like we didn't know like what all of these different marketplaces were going to look like. But now a year in, it's like you need to be on all of them, and you need to check things. Like we've gotten, lots of free things, or lots of like the, open doors. You sign up and you get a $30 deal with GoPuff, or at least you did initially. It's like, those aren't going to be one, like, cool, we're going to pass on that. But, so there are lots of good things. Like I don't know if I'll say the full number, but like we've made 6 figures from marketplaces. So it's obviously important for our athletes to be able to continue to build income, and then build those relationships, and then come back with those same companies. And that's happened multiple times too.
Yeah. And I think a lot of these businesses have not a very big clue of how to do NIL. They're scared of the compliance aspect and eligibility. So that is also why they're coming to the marketplaces. A lot of marketplaces handhold. We especially do. If you're a brand, we're holding your hand, as well as a student athlete. We're not just leaving your rogue on there and saying, good luck. You have actually me and my team as a resource. We'll go any day of the hour, any hour of the day, and hop on a phone call, answer those questions. We're in no shape marketing reps. We're like a lot like a Zillow, right? So we'll make you feel comfortable, we'll answer those questions that you have, but we're not going to tell you, hey, you should probably ask more, or hey, you shouldn't do this deal. That's where we stay out of it. So I think it's obviously a big thing to be on these marketplaces. And for now, these brands are probably going to keep using them because they're hearing from other brands. hey, they kind of do all the work for you, honestly, because most of these companies that are doing these aren't the Gatorades of the world who have tons of sports marketers who know what they're doing and
Yeah.
are savvy in this space. So it's another plus.
And like, do you guys typically deal with the brands directly or the agencies that handle spending for the brands? And I'm sure it's different depending on what
Yeah.
it is, but do you work with a lot of the agencies?
Yeah. So Sprouts is through an agency. A lot of those big brands are through agencies.
Yeah.
So I'd say national brands are more through agencies, and I'd say the regional to local are more just on their own in a sense.
Sure, sure, sure.
So that's where we can really thrive too, is that local regional impact where we're holding their hand, working with the CEO or the marketing person on that in that company to use our platform. And it's super easy where you don't need to be a sports marketer. We ask you a series of questions, and that's how you actually it auto populates into that marketing campaign and contract. So you see that, and you see the marketing agencies, why they need us is because they can't get a hold of the student athletes. A lot of them have no idea. Unlike your athletes who have, your name and whatnot in their bios, some don't. So they shoot them a DM. What we've learned from the first year is that the kids won't respond. I've tooled around with different words and subjects and stuff for DMs just to try to get them to open it. But a lot of deals have just fell through the cracks through the DMs, which is fine. At least you can have some contract as well. I think the risk would be is maybe it's Joe Schmo's, on campus, and they say, hey, we'll Venmo you or whatnot, and you do the deal. And I've heard this, unfortunately, from a lot of athletes. They'll do it and they never hear anything back again from the brand. So it's a big tool as well, I guess, of using Icon Source, that you have that contract. We take the payment processing 14 days prior to the activation. So we already have the money sitting there. Once you do the post, get permission from the brand. They say, hey, this is perfect. And we send it through. So
Yeah.
just little things like that people don't see.
You guys operate as an agency for the athletes, right? It's the same basic thing, right? Our conversations are most of the time on a national level. We're talking national brands. It's with the agency that's doing the spending for them. If it's local, it's with the company directly. It's probably like the owner or the general manager or something like that. So it's the same type of like I said, if you're not using a resource like this, you're not thinking it through and you're not being smart around the biz of you. So you should.
Absolutely.
What have been some things you talked earlier? We talked before this about like red flags from athletes, and what are some tips like on using specifically Icon Source or marketplaces in general? Like, what are some things that you've seen that are good that they can improve upon that people that wouldn't not be behind the scenes like you would be able to see?
As in from a student athlete perspective on these marketplaces.
What have they done? Turned off companies, lost deals. Obviously, if they don't respond, well, shit, that hurts. But like,
not responding. I think not having a sense of empathy. Maybe, we've had deals go to athletes and they say, "How much y'all going to pay me?" With awful grammar. And it's like, come on, guys, like let's be a human being a little bit. So I think that's where you lose deals. Obviously, responding to a brand, right? And at first, maybe you respond at first, and then they respond right back, and you take 7 days to respond again. And we all know we're all busy, and especially student athletes, and that's an also plus of Icon Source. If you have your marketing representation can share that account with you, or just run your account for you. So when you're busy in season, just focusing on ball, you can let them handle that. But I think it's showing some kind of empathy, building that, that relationship. I feel like that's where a lot of kids are missing what we've been talking about. As well as I think, especially on our marketplace, we work with a lot of brands who want to give us referrals. If you're an athlete and you sign a contract and you just go off the face of the earth, with no communication, I'm going to go in there and we're probably going to take you off, because it's just not a good look. We don't want that to happen with other brands on our platform, because it's not just a bad look on the athlete, but it's a bad look on us, on our business. So I think that's it, as well as make sure, there's contracts on Icon Source where obviously majority of them, 95% are templated contracts, right? So, but to still double check if there's a custom contract, or even if it's not on Icon Source, on another marketplace, and you don't find a resource. I'm not saying you need to go and get the agent in your DMs or whatnot, or a random lawyer and pay a bunch of money and sign off at something else. But find a resource you can, if it's in school, it's a family friend, and just gain some knowledge on reading those contracts. I think that's important, because obviously some athletes might not have the followings where you might not get the Curran brothers and how great they are, but you might have to be on your own. So, which is fine. It's part of kind of handling your own business. That's what I kind of tell a lot of athletes. If you don't have an agent, you're on Icon Source, it's run it like it's your own business. That's the gist of it.
Sure. So, and I know you guys have deals that are out there. Like I could apply for a deal as an athlete.
Yes.
What are tip suggestions on that end? So I guess I'm not gonna pull it up right now, but basically how it's set up is you have like company X, you click on the company, it says kind of the outline of here's what it looks like ish, right? And I can look at it and be like, oh shit, could be me, right? What tips, suggestions you have around stuff like that? Like if you think there's a fit for you.
Yeah, I think the biggest tip is, so when if you're using Icon Source, if you're going to download Icon Source, it's called public opportunities. I'll say that I think majority of our deals can actually come from the private opportunities, where a brand comes across your profile, goes, oh, this is a good fit, let's send it through. But kind of flipping the switch a little bit, maybe the brand says, hey, let's see who comes to us and wants to work with us. So you'd go in, find a thing that makes sense. Don't just spam click every single opportunity to say I'm interested. You're probably just wasting everybody's time, and you might not get picked because you might have not read it, and you might have been a male trying to do a female activation, specifically for female athletes. So but I think that the biggest thing is your profile. So if you're clicking I'm interested on a company's opportunity, and you're the person who just has your profile picture up, you have no social media handles, your hometown is blank, you have no bio and no special interests, unfortunately, I would say there is a 0% chance you're going to get a response back. So fill it out. The bio, I see a lot of kids put their accolades, which is fantastic. But at a certain point too, a lot of these marketers don't care too much about that. They want to know about you. Miles Brennan made a profile, and I always talk about it because I'm like, this is insane. But Miles Brennan, LSU's quarterback, put in his bio that he lived in the Gulf of Mexico on a boat with his family for 2 years after Hurricane Katrina. Now, that's a little different than being a starting quarterback at LSU, but if you think about it, that's some adversity. That's doing something that's very, very, very unique to only a few people. And so that would make him stand out more than someone who would just list their, I was conference second team, leading goal scorer last year. I think a marketer would enjoy that more than just solely putting your accolades in there. So fill out that bio, special interests. If you see the brand on there, shoot them a DM on Instagram and say, hey, I clicked, I'm interested. Be creative, be savvy, be relentless. I think that's the biggest thing. There's 460,000 athletes in the NCAA, obviously. There's international students, but there's going to be a lot of people out there trying to do NIL deals just like you. I mean, just like in your sport, make an impact, be relentless, be smart, be savvy, try to be a little creative and get to these brands, because they have money, they want to pay, but they want to find the right person who's authentic to their brand, who gives them the best ROI. So that's where I'm at on that.
And this is something we always didn't want to call out directly to coaches when we were having conversations as NIL. It doesn't matter if they're the best player on the team. It just doesn't.
It doesn't. Right? It doesn't. It really doesn't. Unless it's boosters, right? Boosters, yeah, it does. It does matter about that. For some of them, right? But it really doesn't. People care about the authenticity to the brand. And those are the people that are wanting, people aren't just paying college athletes because you're a college athlete. I'm sorry if no one knew that. They're paying you because you have a certain demographic and a certain brand that you have. And there's some connection there. There's some synergy between you two. And they pay you so they can get ROI and make more money for their company. So stand out.
Yeah, I said earlier, it's two reasons they want to work with you. Alignment, hey, we work with this person, they trust in our product, that kind of thing. And then eyeballs, and your ROI is the eyeballs of it. So if the quarterback of the football team is a mute and he doesn't post anything on social and seems like he's an asshole, but the top women's basketball player has a bigger following and is super fun and is, like great on TikTok, well, shit, they're probably going to want to work with that person a lot of times. This isn't 10, 15 years ago where that would not be the case, right?
Yep.
Like they want eyeballs and they want people to believe in what the athlete says. Cause there's so many, God, I just saw one yesterday that was like, so I don't even want to call it out because you'll know who it is, but it was so bad. And I saw it and I was like, this brand is not going to be happy with this thing. They're, and their agency passed it along, was like, hey, you got to do this thing. They did the minimal possible, did that thing. And then they got terrible engagement on it. And it will not be good for them moving forward with that company. They just won't be happy.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of athletes, you see the post, right? And we have someone Icon Source where I've been waiting for you to grill it on your Instagram story. But you see some posts where it's not that great. And what you can stand out is if you got your first NIL deal, watch Pat's story, watch and see his tips and tricks and check it out, because it can give you a little bit of that boost. And you have that now on your Instagram, right? And you get another NIL deal, they're going to see that and be like, wow, okay, we could get something out of it compared to some grammar issues in your bio, maybe a half-ass post you made that looks like you took 2 minutes to put. You just took a picture and threw it up there. Put some time into it, thought into it, be creative. It's fun. You're getting paid to promote a company. Who else can do that? I can't. So have some fun with it. Be creative. Use resources.
Yeah, I was gonna say, a lot of times, most of the college athletes that we're talking about are, when they're done, they're not a college athlete anymore. They're not an athlete, period. Obviously, they're not a college athlete. They're not an athlete, period. So like those types of things aren't going to be knocking on your door as much. So,
no.
But if you developed good relationships, maybe they'll continue on. We have one of our athletes, Lexi Gordon, who's not playing anymore. She's done playing, was at Duke, was at UConn, Texas Tech, then Duke, had a good year, was actually with the LA Sparks in camp, done playing. I'm texting about a big time national brand that we're working on something with. She is not an athlete anymore. She is done playing. She does not want to play. But I think we are in the middle of 3 or 4 things still, because they like Lexi, the people have done some stuff with her, or they've seen stuff about her and she's still in their ecosystem and continue to build. So it's like most people are not like that because they just took some deals, did some shit things, and they're out. But if you can build this, like now she's building a revenue source. She doesn't have a job right now. Her job is her. It's social. And I know what her numbers are. She's not a millionaire, but she's making decent enough money to continue to build moving forward with this stuff.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. And, I think the opportunities you have, even after, if you can keep stringing that along and use it, why the heck not? Take advantage of it. Drew, who retired, I think 4 years ago. I hope he's not listening to this and gets upset with me. But he got an NIL deal with a company called Poncho's Cheese Dip. He got it for like $500 just to make a post with all this cheese dip. And it was like the most exciting thing ever to him, because he's like, I haven't had this in forever. I haven't got to do anything, make money off of, like, I played in the NFL as a punter, and now I'm just the average guy around here, and I got an NIL deal in a sense, and it's fun, it's exciting, and shoot, if I got an NIL deal, I'll probably entertain it for sure. Doesn't hurt.
I've talked to
you can help me out, Pat.
I'll see what we can do. Social game. I don't know exactly what we're going with there. We gotta do some things there.
We gotta tweak it a little bit.
We can talk about reels. Yeah, if you're posting reels,
like I get other reels.
Yeah, but like you said, like there's opportunities, and you can take advantage of them, or you can not, or you can be 25 and miserable and hate your job too. Like that, but there's things that you love to do and you're passionate about that piece of paper after 4 years does not give you. And so these types of things, I think, we could talk all day about this stuff, but like, these are the types of things where if you do well with that one company, that could lead to more stuff with that company, that could lead to other companies being interested, right? Like all these things. And then we've got a snowball effect, and wow, shit, you're building like a real monthly income. And now maybe you've got a business behind it. And what are some other things you can start creating and being, building biz around?
Oh yeah, I think you nailed it on the head. I mean, if you do a great job, and I'm sure you could attest to this as well, for a company, the amount of times that these companies have seen some posts and they're like, this was awesome. Do you think we could do something in the future again with them? I'm like, yes. And that is why you put your hard work into it. Because you might get paid $500 for an Instagram post the first time. You kill it, they might come back for $2,000, be like, hey, I want you to do another one, but just try to up it, or you just killed it. You outdid what we paid you. So try your hardest, just like you do in your sport, in a sense. Put your heart effort into it. Think about it. Just never know what it turns into.
Yeah, you're right. There's times we've had people do like $1,000 deal before us, and we help them get it to a 5-figure deal, and long term, and like, that's that's money. Now we're not talking $200. Like that's good money to start to build. We've had multiple people make 6 figures. I know lots of people who don't even play sometimes, and they're making 6 figures because of what they've built off the field or court. So I got like 3 minutes here, and then I'll get you out of here. But like, what are some things, if you're an athlete, year 2, what would you be doing? Let's go back to Mick at Cincinnati. What would he be doing right now to start building and utilizing resources like this and building for the next year himself?
I think I'm creating content. If I'm doing anything charity wise, whatnot, I'm trying to especially build my name in the community, and around my campus with the boosters. Go to any event I can to get in front of these people. I mean, in a sense, the brands will be there. You'll have other local businesses that I think a lot of people forget about. Sign up for your marketplaces, and I know that a lot of athletes are saying, "Hey, I need to go get an agent. I need to go get a marketing representation." Be patient, be smart. I'm not just saying this because I'm on the, talking to Pat here, but we work with a lot of agents, tons, and they're always calling my phone too much. And the big factor is that we I like to pin our brands with Pat and his athletes, because we know we're going to get great content out of it. The post is going to be done. Everything is going to be perfect, right? It's not as great when you work with an agent who just copy and paste stuff over to his athlete, and it is just an awful activation. I mean, in a sense, for example, if Icon Source has 500 plus agents, we don't have to go back to that. We can go find somebody else. So if you're going to align yourself with market representation, first off, figure out if you trust them, right? Make sure you have someone read over the contracts. Don't lock yourself into a year exclusivity with somebody who might not put in work for you. They might just be sitting on the marketplaces and just waiting for them to come through deals for you and saying they went and got it for you. And that's the reality of a lot of these agents. So be careful, as well as the percentages. I heard you guys talking about that. There's some percentages that are just outlandish that I've started to hear about kids, and they got paid a certain amount up front, and there's this much taken out, and they can't even have a say anymore in NIL for the next year, and they're not even getting, in a sense, they're losing deals left and right, because that agency is going to make their money back, in a sense, because of that high rate of stuff. And if you have a ton of athletes, how much it's hard. Going and getting brands isn't easy. Your job is not easy, and if they don't go put that work in, you just sign yourself away, and just to make them more money for them to sit on their butt and basically use your name, image, and likeliness just to act like they went and got it. And, so just be smart, be savvy, use people. I know Pat is in your DMs. I think you'd be a great resource for people who just have those kind of questions and whatnot. And people feel free to hit me up as well. But I think that's a big aspect of it. Find people that align with you, good people around you, the right brands. Put yourself out there. Don't be shy. This is your time to shine right now, because you never know when it can be taken away.
Yeah, no doubt. Like I mean, I use this example of like Spencer Rattler was the projected #1 pick going into last year, and not playing at the end of the year. How many guys get hurt throughout the season, even if like those are like the guarantee guys too, right? So if you're a women in any sport, I was gonna say women's basketball player, but any sport on the women's side, like there's no guarantees, and the money ain't great. The #1 pick, the WNBA draft, you make $70K. Like the money, those things, there is no guarantees, but this can help minimize those what ifs, those maybes, those like that. This can really be like an equalizer in biz around all this.
You can kind of handle your own business here. Yeah. Like you said, those are kind of not guaranteed. And I guess neither is this, but if you put the work in and you do the right things, and, listen to things like this will definitely help you. You'll see results. I guarantee it. So
yeah, I mean, you break your leg, And if you're just a football player, you break your leg, you know, your season's done, maybe your career's done, depending on where you're at. You break your leg, but you're really good on social. I don't know. What does that
Damn.
do anything? Like, it might adjust some things you're doing, but that doesn't affect your business, right?
Absolutely.
If you're all in and this is, you're only seeing the sport part of it, then you're screwed if that's the case then.
Absolutely, yeah. And you know, especially with college sports, let's just be honest here. I was in the recruiting offices.
Yeah.
You're recruiting to replace your current players. Like, let's just be honest here. So I can give a great example. Last year, around July 1st, we had an awesome podcast offer a lot of money to the SEC quarterbacks, which obviously your Bryce Youngs are going to go for a lot of money and whatnot.
Yeah.
But it was great money. A majority of every single one of them and their agents came back and said, hey, 120,000 plus or whatnot. By like week 3, there was 2 starters out of all those quarterbacks who ended up just getting pulled. You know, this is college sports. None of them had a brand, right? They're just the guy who, when he was getting recruited, gained a lot of followers, is the hype around campus now. That guy, but he had they had no posts, nothing. So, like you were saying, you lose that starting job and you didn't have that backed up. Your name, image, and likeliness, you're not going to see very much deals at all. And that money that you were just trying to jack it up, you're going to be back taking $1,000 posts, you know? So I think keep that in mind. You know, he might be the stud, but this is college sports. You know, there's a lot of good ball players and people get hot. So build that brand, you know, as a backup, and if not, as an additive to it.
Yeah, no doubt. We see that happen all the time. You get hurt, you're on a slump, like you're gone, and then you forgot.
Bam.
Yeah. And a lot of times when all you're doing is, well, you're either not posting in general to start with, or you're just posting your sports stuff. And then you're not doing your sport, like you're not playing, or you're not playing well. And you're like, I don't want to be doing anything. I don't want to be building my brand. It's like, well, then you're probably not going to have a bunch of people knock down your door either. So like, I get like taking a week off, 2 weeks, or a month off from time to time. Like, I think that's good for life, for mentals, but like, when you're so honed in on just the athlete side of it, and then that athlete side is gone, then like, what the hell are you doing?
You cut yourself short. You cut yourself of possible opportunities, you know, so it takes a little bit of time. It's fun. I like to think it's a fun thing to do, you know, making TikToks and Instagram reels and whatnot, and let's have fun with it.
Yeah, I agree. I think it is fun too. I think most of our athletes have fun doing it. So I agree. Mick, appreciate the time today.
Of course. Thank you.
Anything else to add before we get out of here?
No, feel free to reach out to me. If you're a college athlete, go ahead, sign up on Icon Source. Never put that out there, but we don't take a single cut out of the college side. We're all brand facing. That's how we make our money. It's how we keep the roofs over our heads. So I hope you learn a little bit about the marketplace side, you know, research it, do your due diligence, and doesn't hurt. And I appreciate it so much, Pat. And this is fun. This is cool.
Of course. Thank you again. We'll be back here in 10 minutes. I got a bunch of questions that I got from my IG. And if there's anybody who wants to pop on, ask us questions specifically, jump on. 10 minutes. We'll see you then.